You hear that, guys? The loud sound of gaming computer. There it is. So loud. But here we are. And here's my brand new gaming computer. Let's talk about this. So, alright, and here we are. Why don't we go ahead, log in. We can choose two different options here. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what any of this is? Leave a comment if you know. Let's log in now, shall we? Let us log in. There it is. There it is, folks. How nice, how nice. Look, I have my CPU up there in Celsius because I can't change it to Fahrenheit because, you know, only the United States does Fahrenheit. I got my GPU utilization, my RAM utilization, my network usage, my read and write, some items in the taskbar here. Look what time it is. Yeah, you can see when I'm recording this. Yeah. Got my stuff over here. Got my stuff here. Who knows? Oh, look. We know something. We know that it has an NVIDIA graphics card. Let's take a look at the NVIDIA control panel. Huh. Okay then. Close that out. So let's talk about what the heck this is if you don't know. Okay. Switch it back to me. Hello. So gaming stuff. Okay, gaming stuff. I've been an avid gamer since I was much younger, obviously, since I was a little kid. Started the gaming channel, Asphodel Gaming. If you're not following, be sure to follow if you like games. Otherwise, oh well, you know, you don't care about games. 2018 when I started the gaming channel, gaming on my Mac computer. Okay, here is the big juicy Mac right there. That thing came out in 2016, still going very strong, still very good computer. Okay, you don't game on a Mac. Okay, you don't game on a Mac. There's not many games available on a Mac. Some of the games I was playing were natively for Mac, but there were a few that had to be running through a translation layer known as Wine on Mac to be able to play Windows games on a Mac. Okay, a bit of a hassle because this doesn't have a good graphics card. There are plenty of games I could not play. So that's when I found an online game streaming platform. It's basically, let's not even call it really game streaming because it's basically you have a computer in the cloud. Okay, it's a cloud computer. And in the cloud computer, you can do anything that you want, but it's a virtual machine. It's not like, you know, an actual, like, you do have an actual real graphics card, but the processors are shared among other people. The RAM is as well, which you only get like 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is very low, but I don't need it for much because if you follow my gaming channel, I play mostly older and retro games. So older games, they don't really need as much stuff. They really don't. Well, running native Windows games on the cloud computer is perfectly fine for the most part. You barely have any latency. Like when I connect my computer, I connect my Mac to the cloud computer via an Ethernet cable. I connect it to the router with an Ethernet cable. Okay? So then I have pretty much very low latency, like maybe like 15 milliseconds, which is about the equivalent of like 1 frame of latency. Okay, so basically you can play games in real time. It is amazing. It is impressive for what you're able to do over the internet. But it's basically running Windows 10 operating system on the Mac computer, but it's not actually running it on there. You just see like a video of it, but you're actually interacting with that video. You're playing games, and it works very well. If you're playing emulators, they also work very well for the most part. It's just with the extra slight bit of latency, things are not quite on real time. So if I pull up the same exact emulator, same exact game, and I press a button on my controller and I watch both actions move, I can see maybe like 100 milliseconds sooner I see it on my local computer. And you know, just a bunch of stuff, other stuff as well. Well, I actually wanted an actual physical computer that I could actually use for gaming purposes. Okay? And I wasn't expecting it to. I wasn't expecting to get it anytime soon, because I was just thinking, okay, my sister builds computers. Would she be able to build something, at some point? Because I was perfectly fine with the cloud computers. Just there's some limitations, primarily with emulators, because there's like more added latency and delay, pressing buttons, interacting, that sort of stuff. It's not the best experience with emulators. With other games running 60 frames per second, it's fine, but running games that are like 20 frames per second, like PlayStation 1, not the best experience. Really not. But anyway, so she actually had some spare parts lying around. I paid some money for some of the other stuff as well that needed to be installed on it, and she built the computer. There were a few minor issues here and there and everything, but as you saw there, what operating system was that? That was not Windows. Well, here was the biggest thing. So Windows 10 is fine, I suppose. I haven't had any issues with Windows 10 on the gaming computer that I've used. Windows 11 would be the next one you upgrade to, because Windows 10 is going to be like October of 2025. It's going to be end of support, end of life. So that means most people should be moved over to Windows 11. Again, I don't have a problem with Windows 11 from what I've used from it. It really doesn't affect me. Like, it's not the system that I use day in and day out. That's my Mac. Okay, so that's the one that I really like and everything. I'm not using Windows for everyday tasks. If I was, then maybe I wouldn't like it. But you have to pay for a license if you want all the full stuff of Windows. Now, you can use it for free. You can just download it directly from Microsoft website. You can install it. You will have a watermark that says activate Windows 11. You will not be able to change your desktop background or like the color scheme or things along those lines. But who cares about that? If you're just using it for gaming, who cares about that, right? Who cares about that? So I was perfectly fine with just having it like that, But at the same time, it's like, I probably should activate it, And I'm like, why don't I consider doing something else entirely different? So this is when I started to look into the Linux operating system. And I'm like, okay, what can we do with this? First of all, we're talking about gaming stuff. How can you game on a Linux operating system? Linux and Mac share some common ground there when it comes to them both being Unix-based operating systems. So there is some commonality there. I'd say, if anything, Linux is kind of like a hybrid. It is more like Mac, I would say, than it is Windows. But you don't have all the ads or the spyware that Windows has from Microsoft. So here was the biggest dilemma, because I was like watching so many videos, trying to understand it and learn about it before I even had the system. There's many different varieties of Linux distributions you can choose. Oh man, it was just a nightmare trying to find something here. I just kept kind of watching videos, this and that. And then before I even installed anything, I found one that was very good, which is Garuda Linux, it's primarily for like gaming stuff, but you can optimize any Linux operating system to be gaming. This one, just when you install it, installs a bunch of other stuff as well. It optimizes certain things a little differently than others, and it's a very, very good system. It really is a very, very good system. However, I'm like, again, how can I? The emulators are not going to be a problem, because for every emulator, it's cross-platform. You can run it on Mac, you can run it on Windows, you can run it on Linux, you can run it on your Android phone. There's even like iOS apps starting to come out now for like emulators. So there's no real problem there. The problem is native Windows applications. How can you run a Windows application? Well, much like you can do it on Mac, you use something called Wine. Wine stands for Wine is not an emulator. It's funny, but I was like, okay, let me look up some of the games that I have recently played or that I plan on playing, And of course, there's some issues, like audio doesn't play, there's graphical issues, maybe you can't boot, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, I'm just going back and forth. This is a freaking nightmare, all this sort of nonsense. It's like, oh my gosh, what should I do? But I decided, you know what, I'm going to stick it out with Linux here. Let's see how this goes. So I installed Linux, and then just learning it was a freaking nightmare. There were 3 times that I was like, this is the end of the road. I can't do this anymore. I'm too stressed out at this, trying to figure this out. This is not possible anymore. Because there's certain things that you just cannot do that I was like, this is just not possible. You know, so I was like, okay, time to install Windows. Bye-bye, you know? But I didn't. Also, NVIDIA with Linux is not the best, at least not at the time of recording this. It will be very soon, from what I've heard. There's going to be some updates, but okay. You know, just all that sort of stuff. It was just pretty crazy. But let me actually show you around a little bit, because this is what I've decided to stick with. I'm going to, some of the Windows games that I cannot be able to run, maybe I can run at a later time, possibly, fingers crossed. Another motivational factor for me to stick with this was the fact that if you're familiar with the Steam Deck, it's like the Nintendo Switch, basically, kind of looks like that, but it's the Steam Deck. You play Steam games on it and such. You can install the stuff too, but what's nice about it is that it runs on Linux. So it's like, okay, if people are playing these Steam games on the Steam Deck, you should be able to do it. Because I play older games, that tends to be more of a problem than the newer games. All the newer games that come out that are all popular, you know, they're going to be working to get those ready to be running on Linux and the Steam Deck. Not so much for small little indie games and stuff like that, you know. So let's take a brief look at the Linux operating system. I'll show you some of the stuff here, and then we'll, see how it is. So you guys, here is my Linux operating system. Kind of looks like Mac if you're familiar with the Mac. This is how I have my Mac laid out. I got my essential stuff over here. Got the taskbar on top. I already showed you some of this stuff up here. Here's basically the file explorer. You know, you can open that sucker up. Here is the command prompt. Tells you the specs of this computer and everything. Okay. Close that out. We have our browser, I believe. This is the packet manager. This is where you install new software. I'll show you that in a minute. This is my streaming software, OBS. This is a text editor. This is basically their welcome screen. You can go into the assistant. You can do system update, but I don't really do it from here. I do it a different way, which I'll show you in just a moment. Just close out of this. Go into your settings. Here's another crazy thing. Okay, go into this. I can choose 1920 by 1080 and then it goes right up to 4K. I can't choose like 2560 by 1440, which is what I normally game at. So it's like either bring down the resolution, which I don't want to do, or make it 4K. I'm like, I don't want to make it 4K. I really don't. But if you saw on the lock screen, like before I even signed in, there were 2 options, Wayland and X11. If I go into X11, everything seems a bit slower, but there's more compatibility with the resolution. The NVIDIA control panel actually has a lot more options. Things just work a little bit better. Wayland, there's still issues with NVIDIA, so I think maybe when they get patched out, things will get fixed. So that is basically that. But let me open up this. This is called Octopi. That's not a ghost. That's actually an octopus. So basically, this is how you install software. If you go to a website, like, okay, I want to download something, you don't go to a website and download it. You do it from your packet manager. So for my streaming software, OBS, let's type that in, OBS. Okay, I already have it installed here, which is, let me find it. There it is, right here, OBS Studio. As you can see, it's OBS Studio, OBS Studio Get, OBS Studio Stable, and then this is the one that I have installed. Titan 652. You can see the different versions, where it comes from, etc., etc., etc. Crazy stuff, right? Okay, so what this is, the reason why this is the one that's chosen here, this one has stuff that these other ones do not have. Like it has WebSockets, if you're familiar with that. If it has a VLC media source, like this is where I play my, like during like the stream starting soon, I have music playing in the background and I have stuff playing through that. I can't play it with these other ones, so you have to choose this one for some of those extended functions. And then you have this alien here. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. It's basically, if you search for something and it's not available, you may have to switch over to the alien mode and find something here, such as this one. This is a plugin, Advanced Scene Switcher. These are plugins here. So basically, when you install something from the alien section, look, let's go over to the alien section. Yeah, as you can see, there's a bunch of different stuff you can choose here, etc. If I want to install it, it compiles it from source. It doesn't just install it. But what's nice is that if I install something here, it just appears. It's just there. These are OBS plugins. I don't need to download something from the internet, drag and drop it into files. I just hit install. It's installed. I open up my stream software, and there it is. There it is. It's just there. Okay, it's just freaking there. You got the game capture stuff, because Linux doesn't have game capture like Windows does, nor does Mac. This allows you to have game capture. And this is also a bit of a nightmare, all this sort of stuff and everything. But once I learned it, it wasn't too bad or anything, okay? It really wasn't too bad. Final thing, let's say I want to do an update. If you're not familiar with the Linux here, watch how easy, okay? I can just type in update, okay? Let's enter my password. Okay. And what it'll do is it will find any sort of updates that are available for the whole system, all the packages that are installed. Sometimes this can take a little bit of time. And then it will list them all. It will list all the packages that have updates, and it'll show you the old version and the new version. I guess it would be nice if you could like view release notes directly from within here, but you really can't. But here are some of the updates here. Okay, here are the updates here. So I don't know what most of this stuff even is. I know what RetroArch is. I know what RNN noise is. That's basically it. And it tells you what the old version was, what the new version was, what the change in size is. And I'm like, okay, I want to update. Let's go ahead and say yes. And it's going to download them. It's going to install them. There you go. It's updated. That's it. You don't need to restart. You don't need to do any of that sort of stuff. Even if it has vital updates for your system that change drastic things, that's it. I mean, of course, if you have more updates, it'll take longer. But that's it. All of your stuff is updated through that. You don't download anything from the internet, okay? You just don't. Don't do that. Just don't. But yeah, that's how all the updates are handled. That's how you install new programs or anything. I really like that. Like if you have new driver updates for your graphics card, if you run update, it'll all update right there. Okay? Now, of course, this is for this particular distribution. If you have another Linux operating system, you may not be able to do that. There could be different ways you update, different things. You know, this is a more up-to-date Linux distribution, so whenever anything comes out, you will get that update pretty quickly. And you know, there are some bugs here and there. Like I noticed this, like this was not here before. This is a little bit of a bug here. That's the first time that ever happened, but let's go ahead and just like restart and let me show you just how fast it all is, okay? I mean, it is pretty fast, okay? This system is very, very fast to update. Well, not just to update, because as I said, there is no updating. There is no updating like there is with Windows. You don't have to sit on an update screen, all that sort of stuff. You don't have to do any of that. Okay, you would just update, and then you can just restart, and there it is, you know? There we go. We're back at the login screen, so. And just like that, we'll be back to our desktop in just a moment. There it is. And it's not running a whole bunch of background tasks. As you can see, CPU usage is basically non-existent. I can go into configure. No, I don't want to configure it. I already got it all set up. I want to do open system monitor, which is basically like the task manager. You can see what's using what. Applications. Here's the applications that are running. You see how much CPU usage. It's basically the system monitor using that. You know? We have the history. We have processes that are running, you know, in the background. As you can see, a relatively small number compared to Windows. Windows is like you just endlessly scroll. Endlessly scroll, a whole bunch of stuff using resources in the background. Like you just be sitting here and it's like, what's making my fan spin up on my computer? That is the one downside of this gaming computer. It's so freaking loud, and the fans would not shut down. They don't decrease in speed, but they also don't increase in speed. So that is a good thing. But yeah, overall it has been pretty good. As I said, there has been some issues. Let me open up Steam, for example. I'll show you an issue with NVIDIA and Wayland. A lot of flickering, a lot of problems, but that should be fixed pretty soon from what I've heard, like May or June. I'm recording this, obviously, as you can see by the date up there. April 15th. But, yeah, just trying some of these games here. Oh, could you see that? Oh, Chips Challenge, oh no. Get rid of that. You know, here's this. We got this. See how things just kind of starting to flicker a little bit? Especially if I go into like different menus. Sometimes if I move it, it kind of works a little bit fine, but if I like go into different things here, it'll probably start flickering. Let's see, let's go into properties. There you go. Did you see that? So yeah, things are pretty nasty with flickering. Makes me not want to use some of these applications. It doesn't happen in all applications. It just happens with certain applications that you could kind of see some of the window there. Let's say they got yeah. Look at that. So pretty nasty stuff. Oh yeah. Look, yeah. It's like which screen am I on? Which screen am I on? I don't even know. But some of this stuff, as I said, should be fixed pretty soon. Now, if I log out and switch over to X11, this will not be a problem. It's only on Wayland. But Wayland is so much smoother. Like, when I drag my mouse, see how the highlight follows, like, right behind my cursor? I mean, not quite. If you go a little faster, it will kind of go a little bit further away. On X11, it's like a noticeable delay. And some of the other stuff takes longer to boot up. And it's, like, slower. And it's, like, choppier. This is like so much smoother, so much better. So yeah, I would like to keep this because I just gotta wait for the update. But that's basically it for the new computer, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Bye bye.